Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today for our Flyer to Four class. My name is Charlotte Shine. I'm one of the Giant Company dietitians. I cannot believe that it's already February. I still feel like we're almost in January. The year is definitely flying by. But anyways, but still cold out as well. But for those of you who are new here today, our Flyer to Four class, what it is that as a dietitian, we look through the weekly ad. So this is our weekly ad for this week. We look through it in a dietitian perspective, pick out some ingredients, and then create a kind of better for you recipe. So that is what our Flyer to Fork class is, class series. All right, so for our Flyer to Fork class, we're first going to discuss, for those of you who are new here, how to find the weekly ad, how to find a recipe with Savory Recipe Center, which is a really nice resource, especially if you're looking through the weekly ad. You find some ingredients, products that you like. It's a really nice way to plug those products in, and it comes up with a lot of different recipes. And then we're going to bring it to life. So today we're going to make a chicken and penne with walnut pesto. I don't know if anybody here likes pesto. I definitely am a pesto lover. There's a lot of different ways to make pesto. We're going to be using walnuts, which makes the pesto extra creamy and definitely nutrient dense. So it'll be a really delicious recipe that comes from Savory. All right, so let's discuss a little bit about how to find the weekly ad. So there's a variety of different ways you can see here. I went to the store yesterday and picked up the paper copy. Sometimes I tend to like the paper copy, even though I also use our app quite often. But you can, of course, find the weekly ad in our stores. You go through the front doors. It's usually on the little roundabout. You can, of course, find it in your mailbox. I know here we have a community newspaper. Normally, the weekly ad is in there. You can also find it on our website and also on the app. So I think the app is always a really nice way to find the weekly ad because you can always access it on the go, which I always feel like I am on the go. I'm sure all of you are too. So it's a nice way to view the weekly ad, view the coupons, and all that. So when we talk about the websites, you can find the weekly ad on the Giant Martin's website. So you can see here, I put a little arrow on where you want to click. So you just type in Giant Food Stores and then you click on the weekly ad and it pulls it right up, which is really nice. And then also you can of course view it on the app. So you can see here when you pull up the app, you want to look at the very bottom, click on save, and then it pulls up. You can either view it in the print view, which of course kind of pulls it up, what it looks like in the paper copy, or a grid view, and you can search to see if anything is on sale. So for instance, if you want to make something with, chicken or shrimp, you can type that in and see if it is on sale in that grid view. So a variety of different ways to view the weekly ad, which is nice. But I will say I always like I always like the app, but again, always every once in a while, like the paper copy as well. All right, so when I did look through the weekly ad for this week, of course, there was a variety of different things, but I focused on these three items, which is going to be featured in our recipe for today. So the first one is hothouse peppers. Of course, so hothouse peppers, green peppers, or microwavable russet or sweet potato. Is a bonus buy in the weekly ad. So that is what we're going to be using in today's recipe. Also, Taste of Inspirations Italian cheese, all varieties. So I have here, we're going to be using our grated Parmesan cheese, a Taste of Inspirations. And of course, you can put, cheese in a variety of different, use it in a variety of different ways, a variety of different dishes. And then we have our Nature's Promise fresh, boneless, skinless chicken breast, thin sliced breast, or tenders. And of course, chicken can also be used in a variety of different ways, like sheet pan meals. You can use it in a stir fry, casseroles, soups, whatever that you would like. So these are the three items that I wanted to focus on and kind of figure out what recipe that I wanted to use. I also wanted to mention too that this is our dietitian's pick for this month, so California walnuts. So I will say that I absolutely love walnuts and I definitely use them pretty much on a daily basis, whether that is on top of a parfait, on salads, or sometimes I'll just eat them, as a snack with a piece of fruit, but definitely love walnuts. So this is our California walnuts. So, an interesting fact, more than 99% of the walnuts in the United States are grown in the fertile soils of California's Central Valley, and internationally, California walnuts supply approximately half of the world's walnut trade. So that those were pretty interesting and unique facts. So with walnuts, of course, I'm sure for those of you who have attended a lot of our other classes, you know that walnuts are very nutrient dense, a lot of great benefits. So some nutrition facts in a 1 ounce serving. So 1 ounce serving is about a fourth of a cup of chopped walnuts. So we know that walnuts are rich in alpha linoleic acid, so ALA, which is that plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. So this is the most out of any other tree nut. And we know that omega-3s, of course, a lot of great benefits, especially for our brain health. 4 grams of protein for 1 ounce serving, 2 grams of fiber. So really great source of fiber, especially as Americans, because we're definitely not getting as enough fiber as what we want to. So you can always throw in walnuts to many different types of dishes. Also good source of magnesium as well. So we know that magnesium helps to support our nerve and muscle function, also helps with blood sugar regulation. If you have adequate magnesium intake, helps with insulin sensitivity. So really helps with that blood sugar regulation and also helps to regulate brain function as well and mood. So all great reasons to enjoy California walnuts. So we'll be using those in our walnut pesto, which again, with the walnut pesto, including walnuts, sometimes, you know, with pesto, it includes pine nuts, but walnuts helps it to make the pesto even more nutrient dense, helps it create a creamy texture. But we'll be going over that in a little bit. But anyway, so that is our California walnuts, which we'll be using in today's recipe. All right, so I went over the ingredients. So those are in our weekly ad. So you can see here, so I wanted to include chicken and then walnuts. So that is what I searched for. So this is our savory recipe center. So you can see here, when I searched the chicken and walnuts, it pulled up a lot of different recipes. You can see 1357 different recipes, but I chose one at the very top. So you can see the chicken and penne with walnut pesto. Another thing that's really nice about the Savory Recipe Center is you can also use the different filters. So you can do type in ingredients that I like, I dislike. And then if you go in the very bottom, you could do a variety of different advanced filters, which is nice. So different cuisines like Mediterranean cuisine, if you want to do a breakfast recipe, dinner recipe, if you want to do different seasons like summer, spring, fall, whatever method, if you're on a certain type of diet like gluten-free, or even you can search it in terms of guiding stars. So guiding stars, that nutritional navigation program. So the more stars that it receives, the more nutritional benefits. So it can get up to 3 guiding stars. So a variety of different ways to search in our Savory Recipe Center database, which is really nice. So again, you can see here I typed in chicken and walnuts, and this is the first recipe that came up. So we're going to be making that today. All right, so this is our delicious recipe. Again, a chicken and penne with walnut pesto. It gets 41 grams of protein and also almost 10 grams of fiber, so 9.4 grams of fiber. So definitely a balanced meal with the pasta, with the protein, and a lot of variety of different vegetables. So you can see in the recipe, a lot of different colored peppers. So red, yellow, and orange, really helping. Well, like with all, we normally want half of our plate to be vegetables, but up with a lot of different color. It's providing different antioxidants, vitamin C, which is important for immune health this time of year. Also, we're going to be including a zucchini. I don't know if anybody uses eggplant in different dishes, but we're going to be using eggplant today. And then with our walnut pesto, using some fresh parsley. And we're going to be putting that into our food processor. So parsley, walnuts. This recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic, but normally a clove is about a teaspoon of garlic. So we're going to be using our Nature's Promise minced garlic that's already in the jar. So, if you're trying to save time, that's a really nice way to show it here. Really nice way to save a little bit of time. So this garlic that's already minced. I had mentioned in the weekly ad about the Taste of Inspirations, different Italian cheeses. So we're going to be using a half cup of our grated Parmesan cheese. And then as that's blending, we're going to be putting in some olive oil to create that silky and smooth texture. One thing I wanted to mention too about this, if you want to double the pesto recipe, you can freeze this, and it does freeze really nicely. If you want to put the extra in little ice cube trays or in ice cube tray, and you can use the blocks and pull them out as you need them for future meals. So if you are making something I don't know, something, with shrimp or even salmon, I think this would taste good on, or even if you're just doing a stir fry with a variety of different vegetables, the walnut pesto, um, kind of what am I trying to say? Universal or kind of a nice recipe for many different types of dishes. So you can always make extra, put it in the freezer, freeze it in ice cube, and then pull it out as you need it. All right. So these are just some of the directions. I do want to mention a couple items. So I did preheat my oven to 425, and I already before class, and I'll show you how to put the vegetables on the tray or on the baking sheet, but I also roasted the vegetables ahead of time. So that was at 425. And I also cooked the chicken too at 425 for 25 minutes. So you can kind of do the same thing, um, the, the same thing at once. I did I did bake the chicken, but you can also use a grill pan. I don't have a grill pan, but that's another way that you can make the chicken breast. So on a grill pan, you would cut the chicken breast in half, and you can on each side cook it for about 3 minutes or so. But I decided to bake the chicken. So if you're like me, don't have a grill pan, baking is just fine with a little bit of salt and pepper. And again, you can just put it in at the same time as you're roasting the veggies as well. Okay, so that's a little bit of our directions, but we will go ahead and get started. The other thing I also did before class is I already cooked the penne as well. So let me stop sharing my screen and I will share more about the products I'm using here. All right, here we go. Okay, so like I mentioned before, so I already cooked my penne. So I'm using a whole wheat penne. So using the whole wheat because it provides a little bit of extra fiber. You can use just a regular penne. I think the regular penne per serving has about 2 grams of fiber. This one per serving has 6 grams of fiber. So you're getting a little bit more fiber by using the whole wheat. But I cooked this and boiled it for about like 9 minutes or so. So you don't have to do it too long or it becomes a little bit mushy. So I did that. And I already mentioned I did roast the vegetables, but I just wanted to show you how I put this on the baking sheet. Let me just move some of these products out of the way. Okay, so you can see here I have my baking sheet and I already pre-cut my peppers. So you can see this is a nice variety of colors. So a lot of vitamins, minerals. And actually before I put this on the plate, let me mix this with some olive oil. So I'm just putting my peppers in a bowl at the same time with my eggplant and zucchini. So I already chopped this up. So you can see a lot of nice vegetables in this meal. So I'm just putting this into my bowl and then I'm going to put about a tablespoon or maybe a little bit more of olive oil, and then I'm going to put it onto my baking sheet. So I'm just going to kind of estimate which olive oil I need. So you just want a little bit so everything is covered. You go ahead and mix this around. So again, with this meal, it's a really nice way to get in our vegetables. I think sometimes it can be hard to get in vegetables or, we just need different ways to think about how to incorporate vegetables. But you can see with this meal, it adds a lot of nice color, which of course gives us a lot of great nutrients, especially vitamin C and antioxidants. All right, so I think for the most part, these vegetables are coated pretty well, which is the goal. So we're going to roast these at 425 for about 15 minutes. What I want to do on this is just try to have all the vegetables kind of be on the same level, because if we start to stack them up, the heat, we want it to be an even heating. So we want it to be this on kind of a single layer. All right, so my oven is at 425. All right, I think that looks good. So I'm just going to pop this in the oven again, 425 for 15 minutes. All right, so let's start making the walnut pesto. So I have my food processor right here. All right. Okay, so for this recipe, so a half cup of walnuts. So again, our California walnuts. This is our shelled walnuts. We want for this recipe about a half of a cup. We're just going to pulse this. Um, so the walnuts. So we're gonna do the walnuts, the taste of inspirations, grated Parmesan cheese. So this one also a cup. And we're also going to add in our garlic. So again, I'm using our minced garlic, just lessens how many steps. You don't have to worry about mincing garlic when you have this jar, which is nice. All right, so we're going to, so the recipe calls for about, or calls for 2 cloves of garlic. So I'm just going to do about 2 teaspoons. I think garlic always makes the flavor of pesto pop. All right, so about 2 teaspoons of our minced chopped garlic. And also 1 cup of parsley. So you can see I have my 1 cup of parsley. What's nice about pesto too, so you can of course add parsley, but there's a lot of different other herbs that you can add as well. So like, well, we'll go over that a little bit, but I've always made pesto in the past with basil, but parsley is another good one as well. So what I'm going to do is pulse this, and while I'm pulsing it, because I'm going to mute myself, I want you to answer a poll question for me while I'm making this pesto. And the poll question is, what herbs do you like in pesto? All right, so go ahead and answer that. So we have parsley, basil, spinach, or arugula. So I always have done it like basil or spinach are two of my ones that I do, but mint or cilantro or other. So I'm going to mute myself as I do this pesto and go ahead and answer that question. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Let's share the results. All right, so it looks like a lot of you love basil, so I can totally relate to you. But then we have some parsley, spinach, arugula, and then some mint or cilantro. So mint or cilantro too can even be like an extra add-in on top of like parsley, basil, and that type of thing. So interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I already paused my ingredients, I'm going to add in about 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. So that will help create more of this creamy pesto texture. So let me just go ahead and do that quick. All right, so I'm just going to scrape a little bit of the sides down, and then I'm going to just pulse it, blend it one more time. It certainly smells really good, that's for sure. All right, let me do this one more time. All right, so that's looking good. Let me go ahead and let me bring this larger bowl over. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my whole wheat penne. in here. So if you don't want to use penne, another kind of fun shape is a bow tie pasta you could do. You could also, if you're looking for just kind of a different pasta, you could do a chickpea pasta, a brown rice pasta. Um, but again, the whole wheat adds a little bit of nice fiber. So let me go ahead and grab my noodles. So again, I cooked these for about 9 minutes or so. So we're going to add these in. And this recipe serves 6. All right, so my pasta, let me go grab my vegetables. So you can see here, I already roasted them. Um, So one thing you can do if you don't want to use fresh peppers or fresh zucchini, you can do frozen ones. So we have frozen pepper strips, also frozen zucchini. I will say the texture might be a little bit different if you're trying to roast them. So normally with fresh vegetables, if you're roasting them, helps they are like a little bit sweeter. The texture is different. They're a little bit more crisp. But if you want to use frozen ones, you can certainly do so. They might just be a little bit softer. Maybe not as much of the crispiness. All right. So again, what this recipe was one yellow bell pepper, one orange pepper, red bell pepper, small eggplant, which in the store the eggplant that I got was pretty large, so I just did half of it. And then zucchini as well. Again, if you're looking to add vegetables into your diet, this is a great recipe to do so. All right, let me just get a couple more. And the other thing too, if you don't like chicken, there's a variety of different protein options that you could include in this. You could do salmon, you could do shrimp. Um, this piece. I think that seafood options would be really nice with this. So let me go ahead and put this back. All right, so we have our roasted veggies and a pasta. So I'm going to go ahead and set this in the sink. All right, so you can see this is a nice blended pesto. It smells super, or just, I would say super delicious, but very, smells really nice. So what we're just going to do is scrape the sides, include this here. All right, and then our next step, we're just going to mix this all together. Maybe should have made or gotten a bigger bowl, but that's okay. Make it work. So just making sure everything is fairly covered. And so then when it's all covered, we are going to plate it. So that again, this serving serves 6. All right, let me go ahead and grab a plate. So for the chicken, so again, I baked it. And I was able to get so it was a pound and a half of the skinless chicken breast. So I sliced each one in half just because it cooks a little bit better. And I put it on a baking sheet, cooked it for about 25 minutes, add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I cut it in like little strips like this. So normally for a serving is about 4 ounces, or usually fits in the size of your palm. So that's what I did for chicken. But again, if you want to use a grill pan, you would cut the chicken breast in half and then grill it on either side for about 3 minutes or so. But you want the internal temperature to be 165 to make sure our chicken is cooked thoroughly, which of course is very important. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plate this. Get a scoop or spoon. So again, by using walnuts in this pesto really creates a kind of a creamy texture. You're also getting a lot of omega-3s, some fiber, and then extra protein as well. All right, and I'm just going to add my chicken and do it on the side. I'm just going to do it right on top. So this is our chicken penne with walnut pesto. So kind of a cool way to use walnuts in the pesto. So just like that. All right. So let me share my screen again, because I just want to mention some upcoming classes before I do the dietitian weekly ad picks. All right. So just want to review again some classes that are up and coming this week, which again, I can't believe it's February. So tomorrow is Fresh Finds with Joni. She's going to be discussing the big game bites. Then I'm going to be doing a Heart Smart Your Card, a Living Well class on Wednesday. And then it's a coffee chat with Shayna and Joni talking about the big game again. So definitely get some unique and fun recipe ideas for the big game. All right. So all right, so I'm going to stop recording. So thank you, take care.